Let me ask you something, and I want you to really answer honestly. Are you actually comfortable receiving? This is what I see over and over again with powerful, capable clients who I work with. They know how to make money, but they don't know how to let it land and how to let it be easy the way that it could be. They are successful, maybe in outer definitions, but they're tired. They are supported in many ways, but they're still over functioning as if they weren't. They're expanding, but they're carrying this sense of guilt anytime things feel too easy. Here's what I want to let you know. This isn't a mindset problem. It's a receiving problem. So today we're going to talk about feminine wealth. And I don't mean a man versus a woman there necessarily. What I mean is an energy, feminine energy with wealth. What it really means to receive without guilt, without overworking, and without needing to prove your worth just one more time. So if you've ever felt like rest had to be earned, like ease was something that you needed to justify, or like slowing down might somehow make everything fall apart, this episode is for you. We're going to talk about what it actually takes to feel safe receiving the wealth, the abundance that you're already capable of holding. So make sure you're subscribed. And if this resonates, share it to your stories and tag me at Elyse Archer. Let's get into it. All right, let's talk about what feminine wealth is and what it isn't. So I used to have so many judgments on just the word feminine. And it's interesting because I had a conversation with my mom several years ago, because sometimes we wonder, where do these things come from, right? Where do we inherit these things from? And she told me all the judgments that she carried on being a woman. And it made so much sense after I heard that because I'd been starting to learn. This is around the time when I'd been starting to learn about feminine energetics, feminine wealth energetics from a lot of amazing mentors, most of whom were women, but also from some men. And again, this isn't about being a man or a woman. It's about knowing how to integrate and tap into feminine energy, which is about receiving when you are making money, when you are growing your business. And when I first heard the phrase feminine energetics or feminine wealth energetics, to be honest, the first thing that showed up for me was I thought it was weak. And that shows how injured I was in terms of my feminine energy. And I had for so long in my life thought that my only safety was in masculine energy and trying to show up like a man. I would work in male dominated environments and think, okay, the way to be safe here, the way to be successful is I've got to show up just like the men who I'm working with. I've got to hustle, I've got to grind, I've got to push, I've got to talk like them, think like them, act like them. And I would try to literally make myself like a man in a woman body. And that's what I thought it took to be successful. So I had a lot of judgment on feminine wealth energetics until I started questioning everything. And that's what really changed things for me. I started looking at my mentors who were making 10 times what I was, 20 times what I was, 30 times what I was, who were traveling and vacationing abroad, who were in ease, who were talking about leaning into feminine wealth energetics in their business using spirituality as a business tool as well. Not that spirituality is a tool, but they would integrate spirituality in their business. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be humble enough to say that my way, where I'm in pure masculine energy, has kept me capped for over 10 years, where I'm working super hard. I'm hustling, I'm grinding. I'm also in anxiety and fear. And no matter how hard I work or how many hours I work, I can't break past a certain plateau, which for me was low six figures. Let me humble myself to say that maybe, just maybe they know better than me. Maybe there's something to what they're saying about ease, self care, lifestyle, receiving, fun, wealth consciousness, travel, enjoyment, pleasure, play. Let me be open to that actually being part of the path and maybe the missing link. So I started playing with it. That is when I quantum leaped. That is when I turned my annual income into my monthly income, went from 100K years to 100K months in 6 weeks of not knowing this. This is important. I knew this for maybe 5 years before. I had heard it. I would like dabbled in it, but I didn't embody it. I didn't go all in on it. I didn't say effective immediately. Nothing in my life is staying the same. I am transforming. I am changing. I am embodying this at the deepest level possible, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's scary. That's when I quantum leaped. And what I learned along the way about feminine wealth energetics is that it's not at all passive. It's receptive, it's embodied, it's deeply powerful. Sometimes people think that, and this was one of the judgments I had, because I would hear and sometimes see it was generally women in business who were really deep kind of on they were deep in the pendulum swing of feminine. And they would talk about, "Okay, I'm just gonna sit there and manifest and look at the vision board and let it come to me." And I was like, "Well, that's not really something didn't ring true with that for me. There was really no action involved in it." That's not what I'm talking about here. And I think sometimes that's one of the misconceptions that people either think, "Okay, that's all I need to do," or that repels people who are more in masculine energy and action. They're like, "Well, no, there's no way I'm gonna why would I try to incorporate feminine wealth energetics into my business? That means sitting there doing nothing." That's not what I'm talking about. It's an energy of being available to receive that you hold while you simultaneously take empowered action in your business and in your life. But it's not about overfunctioning. It's not about micromanaging. It's almost as if you have this energy and this knowing that the universe is going to meet you halfway. Like you're taking the action, you're doing the things, but you're also number one, you're holding the energy and the vibration of what it feels like to have your goal accomplished. You're doing identity work to see yourself as the woman or the man at the level that you're desiring to be at. And you're expecting to be surprised and delighted and to have the universe meet you halfway and have things show up while you simultaneously are moving, while you simultaneously are moving the energy, you're taking action. So it's not about waiting, it's not about being passive, it's not about bypassing responsibility. It's about an integration. It's about a both and. And I remember once one of my mentors said, "You want to be more in your feminine energy than in your masculine to quantum leap." And because the masculine is too logical and linear. It's too structured, not that we don't I love and appreciate structure in my life, and one of the things that I've really learned over the years is if you want a big life, you need a big structure to help support it. That is so true, but you can't be caught up in it. You can't be stymied by it. You can't be dragged down by the energy of the structure. It has to support you so that you can remain more in your feminine energy, which is about receiving, which is about love, which is about light, which is about fun, which is about enjoyment of the process. For me, it's about incorporating a lot of beauty in what I do. It's about feeling in a flow state. It's about being non attached to the outcome while simultaneously moving my body, taking powerful action, and enjoying the process as well. So it's a both and. And this is one of the things that when I teach this, especially to my male clients, a lot of the clients I work with privately, in particular are men, they learn how to tap into this and get out of the energy of, I've got to do it all myself. It's got to be hard. If I'm not grinding or pushing or forcing, then I don't deserve it, right? There's so much of that conditioning. When they learn how to tap into this, it is amazing. They're like, holy smokes, I had no idea. I had no idea it could be this easy. They're still taking action. It's just a different energy and it requires far less action than the other way. All right. So let's talk a little bit about why receiving can feel uncomfortable. And there's a lot of different reasons. Again, I used to have a hard time receiving. You could often tell you feel uncomfortable receiving if do you deflect compliments? Do you hold back from maybe taking the spotlight or being visible in certain ways when you have the opportunity? And that's an indicator of where you are in terms of your comfort level with receiving. And that's also capping your ability to receive wealth. If there's an area where you notice, oh, I'm shrinking, I'm holding back, just know, like I don't feel fully comfortable receiving, just know that's impacting the amount of money that's able to circulate in your life right now, in your business, in your sales career. And again, these things can come from so many different places too. If you have trauma, which, who doesn't have some there? It could be a lot of the women I work with, and some men as well, have sexual trauma where your body learned it wasn't safe to receive. That was part of my story and my past and my history as well. And the body literally says it is not safe to receive. So this is part of the value of nervous system work. This is part of the value of somatic work, reconditioning the body to feel comfortable. I've done for me, a lot of Joe Dispenza's meditations to help my body like open up and feel safe and comfortable receiving. And it's an identity. It's an identity that you are worthy to receive. Speaking of Joe Dispenza, I remember he says in one of his meditations, he's a beautiful abundance meditation, and he says in it, the universe will only give you what you feel worthy to receive. And that was, for me, one of the biggest gaps when I couldn't break past the income plateau that I was at of 10K a month or six figures. I wanted a seven-figure business. I wanted to live the life that was on my vision board, which involved a more expansive home. It involved driving a certain type of car, retiring my husband from his night shift respiratory therapy job, being able to support our family, to travel, have an abundant lifestyle. But when I thought about the energy of seven figures of money at that time, it felt bigger than me. And I didn't honestly feel worthy of it. One of the biggest things that shifted for me with that helped me, number one, I did the nervous system work to recalibrate and to feel worthy to receive. But I also remember hearing a quote from Bob Proctor around that time that really helped me. And he talks about how a lot of people don't feel worthy of their goals. And that was true for me. I wanted the seven figures, but I didn't feel worthy of it. So I kept staying stuck at six and receiving what I actually felt worthy to receive. But he said, every goal that you set, it's something you're trading your life for. So don't ask, am I worthy of this goal? Ask, is this goal worthy of me? Is this goal worthy of trading my life for it? I was just leading a call right before this of a mastermind that I'm a co-creator of with some dear friends of mine. And one of the women on the call bumped up her goal from this year from 500,000 to 1 million. And it was beautiful. And we talked about it and we were like, look, either way, you're trading your life for that goal. So you might as well make it something that is worthy of you. Make it something that feels worthy of trading your energy for this year. And when we think about things that way, I want you to think about, are the goals that I'm setting actually worthy of me? Are they worthy of me trading my life for, my energy for? Just remember that. It's so big and it's so important, and it's going to help you calibrate to goals that are actually worthy of you as well. Now, overworking, let's talk about that for a minute because I was the queen of that. Overworking is a receiving strategy. Again, this is conditioned. This is why when I was in corporate, I felt like if I didn't get up some mornings at 2 a.m. and start work before everyone else it felt like there was always this endless pile of emails that I couldn't get through. I felt like I was always behind. I felt like there was never enough. It was this constant scarcity mindset. I just didn't have the language for it then. So to try to make up for it, for always feeling behind and not enough, I would overwork, and I hung my value on, did I work a 12-hour day? Could I outlast everyone else? Could I push through more than everyone else? And could I do it as a woman? For me, that was one of the things that was like, yep, boys, I can do this, and I'm a woman. That was my level of consciousness at that time. I had no idea. I was so shut off from receiving. That's part of why I was working so hard, but I wasn't making more. I was doing well. I was a top performer within the company. But again, I was always capped. And I think I was always consistently around, sometimes I'd be number one, but a lot of times out of a group, I try to think about the number of people I worked with in the company. I think sometimes I was on a sales team of like 50 or so, and I'd be like number two or number three a lot of times. And it was so interesting because the reason for that, and I didn't know it at the time, was that I didn't feel, number one, I didn't feel worthy to be number one. And I didn't feel safe to be that visible. All right. So I would hustle and grind and work, 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 work. but I wasn't open to receive. And so nothing would land the way that it could. And that turned into depletion, inconsistent income, things kind of going up and down. Also, like feeling anxiety and fear all the time, too. All right. So, receiving isn't something that you deserve after you work hard. It's a way of being. It's a skill that you cultivate. It's something you become comfortable doing over time. And I don't care what your background is. I don't care what you were taught by your mother, by your father, by whoever raised you. Again, through conversations with my mother, which have been so beautiful, I've had so much clarity that she really didn't feel safe to receive in a lot of areas of her life. And it's been such a blessing to be able to, number one, identify where some of these patterns came from in my life. It's not her fault. It's we're all doing the best we can with what we have, and we do program our children with all of our programs, whether they're to their advantage or not. And I'm aware as a mom, I'm programming my kids a certain way, and I'm doing my best, but there's certainly things that we'll get to redo later. Um, and I do my very best with it. But there was so much awareness that came from those conversations with her, and even epigenetics now points to your parents, your grandparents, great-grandparents, generations before. Someone, if they experienced trauma receiving, scarcity, et cetera, these things are passed down in our nervous systems. They're passed down in the womb, all right? So to be able to now practice in my own life, receiving in bigger ways, feeling worthy in bigger ways than ever before. I was sharing with my we lead a consultant certification program in our company, which is beautiful. And if you ever want to get certified in this material, build an additional income stream or a totally new income stream, send me a DM. Would love to talk with you about the program. But I was leading a call yesterday for our consultants, and I was sharing about, a pair of shoes I just bought. So as I record this, I'm about to fly to Dubai to give my first TEDx talk, which is really fun and exciting, and I'm gonna bring, my five-year-old son and one of my good girlfriends who was also his nanny for several years, and so it's a dream and a gift to be able to do this trip, bring him along, do a paid in full trip for her to come along with us as well. And these are the types of things that I affirmed about myself for a long time before they became true or real. Like, I am a woman who always does. I'm a woman whose kids travel with her and fly a certain way and it pays for her friends or her family to go along with. So it's fun to do it in the 3D. But I bought a pair of shoes for the stage, and these shoes it's like $1,500 pair of shoes. Now, are there shoes out there that are a lot more expensive? Yes. Are there shoes out there that are a lot less expensive? Yes. It's the law of relativity. Nothing is big or small, it just is. But it was interesting as I was making that purchase last week. I have learned to normalize this, but it did not come naturally or normally for me because what I was conditioned with and the old version of Elise before this work would say, oh, that's for other people, not for me. Shoes like that are for other women. I look at them on the stage. I'm like, oh, you're amazing. Good for you, but it's not for me. That is some of the programming and conditioning I got to shift. So as I bought them, I said, what an amazing deal. I said, "This is so normal." Like, "Of course." And I let it be an of course energy for me. I do that now with the purchases, especially if something is stretchy, especially if something is kind of pushing the limits of what I'm used to or what my nervous system was comfortable with before. But of course, what a great deal. Feeling open to receive at that level and normalizing that, yes, this is who I am, this is what I do. And what I shared with the group, which was so fun, because I hadn't even put two and two together until I was sharing this live with the group, was after I made that purchase last week, the next day, my dad texts me out of the blue and he says, hey, we got a rebate check delivered to the house for you. It was for something that I had no idea was going on. It was right about the same amount of money as those shoes. Isn't that fun? Isn't that cool? I actually wanna go back and look at the amount of the shoes and the amount of the rebate check because they were so close if they weren't identical. So, when you're open to receive, you don't have to micromanage the how. You allow yourself to receive bigger and better, and in turn, your sales will grow. They will skyrocket. Your income will skyrocket. So I want you to think about it like that. What if the only thing that had been capping my income, capping my sales, was actually that I'm only selling to the level that I feel safe to receive right now? And this is true. This is why wealth consciousness work is so important in the corporate environment, even though a lot of sales leaders and teams don't do it or don't know that. This is why, if you're leading a sales team, you want them to be at a high wealth consciousness. This is why, if you're running your own business as an owner, as a founder, maybe it's full time, maybe it's something you've launched on the side, work on your own wealth consciousness. Work on feeling worthy to receive. That's going to open up the channels and the energy for what you want to flow to you as you simultaneously move towards it. Again, it's a both and. But I want you to think about this question. What would change for you if you didn't need to justify your success? What would change for you if you didn't need to justify your success? And a lot of times, maybe you've reached a level that's beyond what your parents did or the leaders in your company did. And sometimes we reach a certain level and we stop because we're like, ooh, I've gone beyond anyone I knew before. That's part of the power, I think, of mentorship. That's part of the power of community. That's part of the power of our programs of getting in our community or someone else. It doesn't really matter who. What matters is that you're in a community where you are consistently being surrounded by people who are at a level that makes you think, oh my gosh, what I'm going for is small, is tiny in comparison. Because that will help you normalize and naturalize that amount that you're calling up. So, as we wrap, let's talk about practicing receiving as a daily embodiment. First, I want you to practice anytime you're about to do something, anytime you're about to take action in your business, say, can I let this be easy right now? How could I let this be easier? It will stretch your brain, or your brain will tell you sometimes, oh, you've got to work really hard to feel worthy to receive. No, that's not the truth. This is going to help you recalibrate to that. I want you to start expanding how much support you're receiving as well. Practice accepting help without compensating or explaining. All right. Also, celebration. This is huge. I want you to let your wins land before you move on. Actually feel it. Maybe you sign your biggest client ever. Maybe you get booked for a cool podcast. Actually feel it in your body. That's going to get you in the energy and the momentum of celebration, of I'm winning, of this is natural, normal, easy, automatic for me. Also, nervous system regulation. As money comes in, I want you to slow down and sit with it. I want you to feel it. I want you to take the time to actually let it land in your body. In that moment, you are affirming, I am wealth, especially as bigger amounts come in than you're used to. I want you to say, yes, this is normal. Thank you. More, please. Yes, this is normal. Thank you. More, please. That's part of how we normalize and stabilize wealth at greater levels. So, in closing, I want to remind you, you do not need to work harder to be worthy of wealth. You need to feel safe enough to receive it. If this has resonated with you, which I hope it has, I would love to connect with you further. Please share this episode. You tag me at Elyse Archer on all social. Super grateful for you to leave a review as well. And make sure that you're subscribed in order to receive more of these types of conversations to help you quantum leap your sales and your life as well. I want to remind you to trust yourself on your path to success. Your desires are green lights, leading you and everyone around you to a brighter future. I'll see you on the next episode.